Left side of the circle, it's money, cold, hard cash for Stephen Curry.
The NBA champions are back to defend their title. And it starts now. This is Warriors Live.
Holy cannoli, this is crazy.
Presented by Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Unbeatable internet, only from Xfinity.
It is Warriors Live here on 95.7 The Game. It's the Warriors and the Portland Trail Blazers this afternoon. A good Sunday morning to you and a happy Easter to all of you out there who are celebrating, observing the holiday as it is game number 82 for the Golden State Warriors and the road finale as well as the Warriors take on the Portland Trail Blazers, who have long since been eliminated from potential playoff contention. And today, for all of the discussion about the scenarios and where things are going to wind up and who the Warriors are going to play, we're going to know the answer to that question at some point between probably about 2:45 and 3:15 this afternoon, unless there is a wild scenario where a game goes into multiple overtimes. I'd say probably 3:30 at the latest. So we're just inside 4 hours from when we're finally going to know where the Warriors end up in this thing as they come into play at 43 and 38, currently tied with the Clippers for fifth in the Western Conference, but the Clippers own the two-way head-to-head tiebreaker, so the Warriors are sixth in the West and right now would be locked into a matchup against the Sacramento Kings, but many different scenarios abound here over the course of the next 4 hours, and it really hinges on four games that are all going to tip right at the same time in the Western Conference at 12:40 p.m. Pacific. The Warriors, of course, up in Portland against a Blazers team that comes in at 33 and 48. They're 2-8 in their last 10, and when we get to the injury report, it is a lengthy one for Portland as they have long since not given up because they have been competitive over the last week or so, beat Minnesota in Minnesota a week ago, woefully shorthanded by choice and making sure that they have any players that are banged up sitting out. But they were competitive in Memphis. They were competitive for about 2.5 quarters yesterday afternoon against the Clippers in a game that the Clippers needed. They've been a feistier bunch of late, even against some of the teams that have found themselves in the playoff and play-in competition. So no slouch as far as the Warriors are going to have to come out and play their game and play effectively if they're going to end up winning this one. And the bottom line for the Warriors as far as this thing goes is the fact that they do control their own destiny. That is the headline for all of the scenarios, and the Warriors could wind up anywhere between 5th and 8th at the end of the afternoon here, depending upon what happens. But the one thing the Warriors know for sure is if they can win this game in Portland, the Warriors will be no worse than the 6th seed. They'll be either 5th or 6th. And so, again, a lot of different things floating around, and I've put a lot of the every possible Warriors scenario out there. We'll lay out some of those scenarios, including the worst-case scenario. But none of the worst-case scenarios come to fruition for the Warriors as long as they handle business and win against this woefully shorthanded Portland Trail Blazers team up at Moda Center this afternoon. So John Dickinson with you. It's Warriors Live, sponsored by Xfinity Internet. Better streaming with our Flex 4K device, voice remote, and Peacock Premium, all at no extra cost, no strings attached. Again, the Warriors and the Blazers coming up with Tim and Jim on the call here on 95.7 The Game. Let's get into some of the scenarios specifically here, and that will be our Warriors game plan for this morning and on into the afternoon. Warriors game plan brought to you by U.S. Bank, as always. And the simplest one first. Warriors win, they know they're in the top 6. As I just mentioned, if the Warriors win and the Clippers win, Clippers are playing in Phoenix. Again, one of these 4 games that are all going to tip in the Western Conference at the 12:40 marker. And the NBA obviously doing that to prevent scoreboard watching and teams from having the ability to try too hard to dictate particular outcomes. And all of these games really are tied together in a sense that no team, aside from the Warriors and Clippers, really can have a shot to be able to try and manipulate things too much. But again, scenario number one, Warriors win, Clippers win. Warriors wind up 6th in the Western Conference, and they play the Sacramento Kings in a first-round series that'll begin next weekend. Scenario number two, Warriors win, Clippers lose in Phoenix. And the Suns, as you look at the injury report, they are resting everybody. No Durant, no Booker, no Chris Paul, no DeAndre Ayton, no TJ Warren, no campaign. I mean, the Suns are resting everybody in this instance. And the Clippers, at last check, only Paul George, who obviously has been out for the last couple of weeks with a knee injury, is going to be down in that one for the Clippers. And I know there's been a lot of speculation as to, are the Clippers going to look to try to manipulate things? Could the Clippers basically try to lose that game to avoid having to play Durant and avoid having to play the Phoenix Suns in the first round? But the truth is that the Clippers can't do that, because if they do and they lose the game, it could set up a scenario where they wind up as a play-in tournament team, depending upon what happens in some of the other games, including the New Orleans-Minnesota game, where New Orleans and Minnesota both have action as far as trying to, in Minnesota's case, move up from 9th to 8th, which has a tremendous amount of bearing. If you're 9th, you got to play 2 play-in games. If you're 8th and you win the first one, you don't have to play a second play-in game. And so Minnesota, if they can beat the Pelicans, incentive for them, they can move up. The Pelicans, if they beat Minnesota, they have the potential to move up. The Pelicans could finish anywhere between 9th and 5th, depending upon everything that happens throughout the course of the day. But again, the most simple scenarios for Golden State: win with a Clippers win, you're 6th and play the Kings. Win with a Clippers loss, and you'd be 5th, and you'd be matched up against Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and the Phoenix Suns in the 5-4 matchup that would begin next weekend as well. If the Warriors lose this game, at that point, all bets are off. If the Warriors can't win this game, then there's going to be some big-time simultaneous scoreboard watching, depending upon what happens in some of these other places. That's where the Lakers and the Jazz start to impact the Warriors in a more significant way. That game tipping off in L.A. at 12:30. And that's where the Pelicans and the Timberwolves tipping off at 12:30 also come into play for the Warriors. Only if the Warriors lose. Again, so primary game number 1, Warriors-Blazers. Primary game number 2, Clippers and Suns. Keep an eye on that one. And then if things start to look a little bit dicey for the Warriors, then you got to start wondering, all right, what are the Pelicans doing? What is Minnesota doing? The worst-case scenario for the Warriors in that particular situation would be they lose, Lakers and Pelicans both win, and if that were to happen, then the Warriors would find themselves in the 8th spot and in a little bit of trouble as far as things go, with having to be not only a play-in tournament team, but a play-in tournament team on the road, where the Warriors lose, Lakers, Pelicans win. That winds up being a situation where the Warriors would be 8th. And I think the Warriors don't want to obviously be in that situation where they would be 8th. And in one of those scenarios, even be a team that would have to go to New Orleans in a play-in tournament game before trying to win their spot for the 7th seed. So avoiding that at all costs, and not to get too far down the road on all of it. But you win that, you avoid the what is this team doing, what is that team doing, beyond just what the Clippers ultimately choose to do. And again, the Clippers have to win in the same vein that the Warriors do to avoid putting themselves in position where they're going to be in the play-in tournament themselves. So that your Warriors game plan here today, brought to you by U.S. Bank. We'll have more on all the possible outcomes. There are 16 possible outcomes today, all the different combinations of these 4 games that are going to be starting at 12:30. We'll give you how many of them come out where for the Warriors, and also Basketball Reference had the probability chart weighing in, who's going to be playing who and the percentages. So we'll get that for you coming up just for fun here on the next 15, 20 minutes or so as Warriors Live rolls on here on 95.7 The Game. But the scenarios are your Warriors game plan, brought to you by U.S. Bank. Let's go ahead and shift gears into the injury report, which is brought to you by Boxer & Gerson, as it has been all season long. Northern California's premier workers' compensation law firm, helping injured workers get their lives back for over 40 years. For more info, visit boxerlaw.com. And from the Warriors side of things, everybody good to go of consequence, with the exception of Andrew Wiggins, who remains out as he has his return to competition reconditioning. We're going to hear from the head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, coming up here in just a minute. He laid out specifically what the plan is going to be for Wiggins and the importance of the Warriors winning today as it relates to that plan, because if the Warriors don't win today, they may be pushed into getting Wiggins on the court for a play-in game potentially Tuesday that they wouldn't want to have to put him out there for. Part of the goal, and Kerr will explain this, is you win today, you get at least 5, maybe 6 days off before your first-round game to be able to get Wiggins ramped up and able to go for Game 1 of the playoffs. So Wiggins remains out. Steph Curry and Jonathan Kuminga popped up on the injury report last night for this game. Kuminga with a right toe contusion, Curry with a right hip contusion, but both are good to go per the head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, in his pregame press conference. And the lengthy list of injuries for Portland is incredible as you run through it. Damian Lillard, right calf tightness, he has been out. Yusuf Nurkic, right knee soreness, he has been out. Anthony Simons, right foot soreness, has been out, as well as 4 of the 5 starters, basically. Jeremy Grant, as he's been missing time. Nasir Little is out. Keon Johnson is out. Shadon Sharp has been the Blazers' best player of late, the rookie, and he's got a right quad contusion listed as probable. But, yeah, even guys like Matisse Thybulle, who were picked up at the trade deadline with the Clippers trying to make a run toward the playoffs, he is out as well. The Blazers yesterday in Los Angeles, they started Skylar Mays, Shadon Sharp, Trendon Watford, Kevin Knox, who you may remember from the Gary Payton, James Wiseman, Sadiq Bey trade. He wound up in Portland and had 30 points yesterday for the Blazers, and Jonathan Williams as well. So the Blazers, with Shaq Harrison coming off the bench, they are a woefully injured and also tanking team that the Warriors will face. I think you could look at the roster that Sacramento put out against the Warriors Friday and the roster that Portland's putting out against the Warriors in this game this afternoon, and the roster the Blazers are putting out is worse than the roster the Kings put out. But that, your injury report, again, brought to you by Boxer & Gerson here on 95.7 The Game, Northern California's premier workers' compensation law firm. John Dickinson rolling along here. Warriors Live. Warriors and the Portland Trail Blazers on this Sunday afternoon. Game number 82, as Tim and Jim are going to have the call for you on 95.7 The Game. But let's go ahead and hear from the head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, as he met with the media inside Moda Center in Portland and addressed this wild Sunday fun day across the NBA, with half of the Western Conference or more battling for playoff positioning.
Steve, the issue of tank, and I hear it's been a big issue the last couple of years. Does the NBA need to get tougher on that? Is it bad for the game? What are your thoughts?
It's a great question, and it's a tough one because, when you look at the circumstances that each team finds itself in, there's a lot of really smart, rational people who are making decisions based on the best interest of their franchise. So nobody is trying to do anything to hurt their franchise, or everybody's trying to help their franchise. So what that means, the repercussions, the look for the league, all of that is open for debate. And I'm sure there's a lot of different thoughts, different ideas out there. I don't think there's an easy answer. I can't sit here and judge anybody on what they're doing. Everybody's just trying to do what's best for their own franchise. And, there's not a whole lot to add to that.
Steph and Jonathan, good to play tonight.
Yeah, everybody's ready.
Steve, I know Andrew's not going to play, but how has he progressed since we last talked to you about him, which is 3 or 4 days ago? Is he on track? What more is he doing?
Yeah, he got some 3-on-3 work in yesterday and a little 5-on-5. And so every day he's progressing and he's putting in the work. And, the whole thing is after a 7-week absence, there has to be a ramp up period. And that's what he's doing right now. It would be irresponsible for us to just throw him out there and expose him to injury. And so he has to go through the process. Our performance team is putting him through that process, and he's getting a lot of good work in. And, the idea would be, ideally, we win the game today and, have these next 5 or 6 days to prepare, which would include some scrimmaging and getting Wiggs back in the fold with everything we're doing scheme-wise and execution-wise. And, he gets another week under his belt, and then we reassess from there.
After last game said, you guys are in a good problem, I guess, because if you win, you secure the 6th seed, right? But all these different scenarios could happen. Is it ever unsettling that here you are the last day of the regular season and you don't know where you're going to be playing? I mean, you could hypothetically be playing again in 2 days, or you have an entire.
I think it's exciting. I mean, obviously, we'd rather be in the clear, but it's fun too. Like, here we are, and we got a chance to control our own destiny. We don't need any help. We just got to go win today, and that's a great situation to be in. All things considered, the way this season has gone, it's been up and down, and we've been through an awful lot. But here we are, and the ball is in our court, and we're ready to go. We got to just take care of business.
Plays on the verge of 300 3-pointers. Is there any kind of message of, hey, don't go for too many tonight, as far as don't be shooting out of your conference?
I am concerned. I am definitely concerned. My message will be, you're much more likely to get it if you don't try to get it. And that's the truth. But, there's a lot of individual stuff that's meaningful. I recognize that. Loon and Jordan Poole are going to play in their 82nd games today. That's incredible. The durability, the availability each and every night. That's a huge number. If Clay could get to 300, great. But, the danger is you get out of sorts and you get out of character, or in Clay's case, in character, and you shoot every time.
We asked him about it, and he said, "I'm not going to shoot for it."
Yeah.
And he paused and said, "Well, I'm going to shoot."
Not surprising. So, but you guys know this. If Clay if he doesn't force it, he's still going to get 12 or 13 threes up. So, but they're likely to be better, and he's more likely to get good ones if he doesn't force it. So that's the message.
So the other night, he made a point of saying, as much as last year he came back, obviously was a big part of your championship, he still only played 32 games, I think. And he made it sound like he was very proud. This was a sort of significant landmark to him that he played a full season.
Yeah.
Right. I think today's his 69th game.
Right.
So pretty much a full season. How do you sort of see where he is now compared to how much he's come back and how much that means to him and you?
More than anything, the ability to play through, what he's been through, to play through this time in recovery from 2 major, potentially career-ending injuries, to get through all that, what it took mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, all of that, and to be where he is now, where he's contributing every single night. He's playing on back-to-backs, and he's put together a great season. It's a testament to Clay's will and his competitiveness, and it's one of the things that makes him great is that he's just really stubborn and forthright. He wants to be out there so badly, and those 2 years were rough. And he would tell you, in many ways, they're rough. So it's just great to see him now consistently out there night after night.
Yeah, Steve Kerr talking about Klay Thompson, and Klay is 5 3-point makes away from 300, the most in the NBA this season. Buddy Hield, he's got a 14-3 advantage on Buddy Hield. And so that's a new career high for Klay Thompson, and so Klay Thompson could lead the league in three-pointers made for the season. And Klay has, I think, in a lot of people's eyes, gotten to a point where he's playing at a level much better than I think many would have thought would have been possible, going back to the way things looked at the beginning of the season and just the way things look in general for somebody coming off of the type of injuries that he was coming off of over those 2 years. So, yeah, how about Steve Kerr there, giving the update about Wiggins and the fact that his ramp-up continues to progress, liking the position they're in with the win and you get in either as the 6 or as the 5, depending upon what happens with the Clippers and the Suns down in the Valley, and having that be a positive feeling considering all of the ups and downs that the Warriors have had this season. And it is interesting. I think it's been somewhat buried over the last couple of weeks just because the losses have been bad losses and ones that have really frustrated the Warrior fan base. But this team has won 7 of 9, and they are at their high water mark for the season. And if they win today, you could make the case at 44-38, 6 games over 500, they would be playing their best basketball of the season, winners of 8 of the last 10. Now, some help along the way, obviously, with what Portland's doing today, not playing 5, 6 of their top 8 players, and what Sacramento did on Friday. But regardless, the Warriors are getting healthy and everybody back together, it would appear. And they are winning games at a higher level and even winning games on the road at a higher level than they were earlier on in the season. All right, Warriors Live, rolling on here, final couple of minutes. John Dickinson, sponsored by Xfinity Internet, better streaming, Flex 4K device, voice remote, and Peacock Premium, all at no extra cost, no strings attached. It is the Warriors and the Blazers coming up here on 95.7 The Game. Let's get to taking it to the bank. Who will take it to the bank for the Warriors this afternoon? Sponsored by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises. And I'm going to roll with Kevon Looney in this one. Kevon Looney, and this is a great nugget that the Warriors put out, 271 offensive rebounds for Kevon Looney, a new single-season career high and most in the NBA this season. So Kevon Looney continues to do his thing, and the Warriors have scored 349 points off of Kevon Looney offensive rebounds. 349, the most points scored off of anybody's offensive rebounds. The second most, by the way, keep this in mind, if these two teams wind up playing each other, Domantas Sabonis. The Kings have scored 320 points off of Sabonis' 246 offensive rebounds. So the Warriors able to get it done in a similar way to the Kings get it done and vice versa. So that you're taking it to the bank. Mr. 82, and I want to give a nod to Jordan Poole for playing all 82 as well, as he will do that in this one today. You're taking it to the bank. Brought to you by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises. All right, final minute. Keys to the game. Handle business. Come out buttoned up. Don't let Portland believe they've got a shot to basically ruin your regular season with a win. A lot of what you did in Sacramento, the starters dominated first and third quarters, and that was enough. Keys to the game brought to you by First NorCal Credit Union. First NorCal has it all. Low auto loan rates, a super easy online application, and friendly, helpful agents. They can help you get a low rate and help you save big by skipping the dealer financing and applying any dealer rebates to your down payment. Visit firstnorcalcu.org. Mentioned those probabilities, 16 possible outcomes for the Warriors. 7 of them have them facing the Kings, 4 against the Suns, 3 as the 7 seed in the play-in, 2 as the 8 seed in the play-in, and the Warriors right now going into 12:30, a 44% chance of getting the 6 seed, 35% of getting the 5. Tim and Jim, they got the call. It's coming up next. Warriors and Blazers, Game 82, 95.7 The Game.
U.S. Bank is ranked #1 in customer satisfaction with retail banking in California by J.D. Power. Since California is home to most award shows, we've prepared a thank you speech.
To Californians everywhere, we've been proud to help you plan, budget, and save smarter. Our goal tracking and budgeting tools would have no place to shine if it weren't for you, and we can't thank you enough for that. And thank you to our real-life humans who go above and beyond for our customers every day.
Bravo, U.S. Bank, bravo!
For JD Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Member FDIC.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to